There's nothing about my vagina in this story, which is actually, I mean, I was asked several times, is this going to be dirty? And I was like, no. They were all like, oh, that's confusing. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. Ruffled feathers, which when I replied to Dee, I was like, oh my God, I totally have ruffled feathers. And I realized that beneath this, 5 feet of thunder, Napoleonic, exterior, I actually am just a chronic people pleaser, and I have no stories that are good in which I ruffled people's feathers. I am actually fragile as fuck. So this story is about the two things that most unravel me merged together. So it's about 10:15 in the morning. I have an interview, probably the biggest interview I've ever had in my life, and I'm with my friend, my neighbor, and we're sipping coffee, relaxing. She's talking me down from a ledge because interviews are kind of like the number one thing that makes me nervous, even though it's talking about yourself, which I think I'd be great at. I don't know, there's just something about the pressure of needing the job that I wasn't actually very good at. So it's about 10:15, it's this huge interview for a job that was too big for me on paper, and something in my little head said, you should call and confirm. Be like, hey, I just wanted to confirm the interview. And she goes, yeah, go ahead and call. So I call, and they're like, yeah, we'll see you at 11. At this point, it was about 10:30 a.m., and I live at Harlem and Foster, so like the very far northwest side, and this was down at the Board of Ed for CPS at Clark and Lake. So it's 10:30 in the morning, and basically I don't know what happened. All I know that it was 10:30, and in 10:35 I was in my car. No understanding as to what happened in between. At that time I had a Toyota Corolla, a manual transmission, because I feel like the extent of my control issues even like extended to my transmission. I couldn't even let it be automatic without me. So here I am, knowing that no matter what happened, my Toyota and I were one, and we were going to make it downtown to Clark and Lake for this huge interview. I had been out of work for a year. I had kicked my husband. What's the word that we've been saying all night? Get that bastard out of my house, or get that motherfucker. I did that while I was not working, which is totally not exactly good strategery, but I did. So as you can see, the pressure of this interview. And therein lies the second thing, the thing that unglues me the most, which is being late. I cannot be late for anything. So I am like hyperventilating. Yet me and my Toyota are breaking laws, every law known to man, and I pull up to the nearest parking lot to the CPS building down at Clark and Lake, and I had forgotten my wallet. So it is 3 minutes to 11 o'clock, and I don't have my wallet. And I'm like, fuck. So I just pull around again, and I just pull into this space right in front of the building, and the half-ass of my Toyota Corolla is hanging out in front of the alley. And I do what all Chicagoans do. I turn off my car, and I put my blinkers on. Sounded fine to me. So it's now like 11:01, and I get in, and all of a sudden I'm hit with this like giant mass of people. Well, it's this huge like press corps. It was 2012, and it was the year that the CPS went on strike. Like it was going to be in 1 hour, like this huge press conference with Karen Lewis, the union boss at the time, and the mayor outside this office where my interview was to be. And see, again, like I said, the thing that unglues me the most is being late. And I mean, I'm one of those people where it's like, if I'm 20 minutes early, I'm already 10 minutes late for everything. And for interviews, I'm an hour early, and then I sit in my car and like mind fuck myself out of all of my skills and abilities and value and self-worth. And this time that tradition wasn't gonna happen. Because as I like slink through all of this security, I get up there at 11:08, because this is how fucking crazy I am about being late. The woman apologized. She goes, I'm so sorry. security probably held you. I'm like, oh my God, they were crazy. It was like practically a cavity search. And at like that point, I'm calm because I realize I'm like, I got this. And so like I just dive, I killed the interview. Again, it was one of these things where it was a job that it was out of my reach on paper. Everybody had like a doctorate in letters after their name. I was the only one like within 10 miles with a bachelor's only. I just didn't give a shit. It was just like this like long shot. And it was amazing. It was this amazing interview, despite this ridiculous, insane leading up to, because I'm sitting there in the waiting room for them to call me, and I noticed that I was not wearing underwear. The dress was okay. I was wearing shoes, no hose, which, sorry, I never do. I was not freshly shaven. I mean, I get like 5 o'clock shadow at 9 a.m. Sorry, it just is what it is. And seriously, no makeup at all. Like I literally like flew out of the house, and none of that mattered. And so I killed this interview, and I knew I was going to get this job. And actually, they all but told me I had the job. I just had some formality with the director. This was with the Department of Literacy down at the Board of Ed after a long career. And I left there, like, I was floating. But as I was floating, I was thinking of who I was going to call to pick me up, because I know that my motherfucking car was gone. Sitting out, because we had the mayor, we had Karen Lewis, we had like NBC, and everybody was out there in my little Toyota with probably a couple missing wheel covers, just sitting there with its bike rack and its blinkers on, knowing that it was gone. So I get out there, and sure enough, I'm telling you, Chicago folks, leave your blinkers on. It is like, not only was my car there was no ticket. It was completely fine, and I literally can't believe this. But that street's not very wide, so I'm like sitting there and I'm walking to my car, and the press conference is now happening, and I don't give a shit because I just nailed an interview that was like way too big for me. And I get to my car, and I sit, I'm so excited, and I go to start the car, and yeah, no, it doesn't start. It's completely dead. So now I have this car that's totally like run down, half-ass, in the middle, blocking an alley, totally dead. Entire press people in the world of Chicago having like seconds away from me. And I don't know what to do. Although I remember a friend of mine, Ozzy, was getting her hair cut downtown. So I call Ozzy. I said, I just had a great interview, but my car's dead. Could you come? Well, she comes rolling up in this late model Mercedes SUV thing that was kind of like a DeLorean. And my dad raised us well. We jumped a few cars in our day, but when we opened her hood, I swear to God, this thing was like, I was looking for something with 2 knobs, and there wasn't. There was nothing that looked like a battery with 2 knobs at all. And now she's blocking the street. My blinkers are still going, even though the battery's dead. Karen Lewis is there, rounds people. This is all happening, and I'm just hoping that the people who interviewed me didn't have lunch yet, and they weren't coming. And so there was a homeless guy came by, and was like, I know how to do this. So he takes the jumper cables that I had and grounds it on the side of her car and scrapes like her brand new car and like jumps this. And I get my car started, but you know what? None of it mattered because I was so happy because I had gotten this job that was so amazing that I was going to actually cancel. I had an interview like 20 minutes from then on the far south side of Chicago at this school in Inglewood. And I was about to cancel with them. And I was like, no, maybe I should go. And so after all of this, I'm like, it's got to be meant to be that I'm supposed to have this like glorious career. And so out of courtesy, I kept this interview. So I drive my barely moving now Corolla down, and I just smooth on down to this school. And of course I killed the interview because now I don't give a shit about anything. And as I was walking out of this little rinky-dinky school on the far south side, I see this little pair of teenage kids making out, and I just walked up to them. I'm like, you guys need to get a room. And they were like, fuck you. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to take this job. And that's what I did. So.